And welcome back to Mornings with Joe Catenacci here on the Big Talker 106.7 FM. I'm Yaël Ossowski, sub-hosting for today. It's been a great series of interviews, remarkable guests, and the next is also here to delight us. We're speaking with Lillian Beecroft. She is the host of Awaken to Greatness. And any of you listeners here on the Big Talker have heard her not just on her program, but many other programs as well. And I believe that one is on Saturdays, I believe right after Consumer Choice Radio. Is that right, Lillian?
Yes, it is. Right after you guys.
Perfect. All right. Well, definitely do tune in for that. That'll be on this weekend, Saturday. You can listen to that at 11 a.m. here on the Big Talker, bigtalkerfm.com. So, Lillian, I wanted to get you on because you're a local voice, a local talent, as we call it. I've been really doing a lot of different things over the course of the last few months. But, you haven't been too often on the morning hours during the week, so I wanted to allow you a good 2 minutes here to be able to pitch your own program. What is your program about? What is Awaken to Greatness? And sort of what kind of message are you trying to impart upon your weekly listeners?
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to have our only female voice on the station appear on some of the mornings, so it's great. Awaken to Greatness, our mission is to educate, encourage, and take action within our community through politics, faith, and life. So I came up with this concept, back in 2016. It was my first election. It's when I got involved. I was 18 at the time, well, 17 technically. And I got very involved in politics and realized this is my passion and this is what I think I'm called to. And shortly after, a couple years later, I wanted to start a YouTube channel where I could kind of just talk about politics, explain it in a way that the average everyday person would actually understand and maybe hopefully encourage them to get more involved. And then, I started working for a campaign this past year and I realized it's so much more than that. I want to speak on community because community really is the center of every issue, every great thing that we have in this nation. And so, I decided that politics is community, faith is a huge part of community, and so is just everyday life and understanding different paths that you can take, and that not everything's as cookie cutter as we make it to seem here. And so that's kind of the message that I wanted for this show, and it has grown to be so much more than that. I've had the opportunity to do a lot of political interviews with some of our U.S. congressmen, Senate candidates, local representatives are of course my favorite, and I've had the opportunity to educate more people on what is local politics, because who knows? Barely anybody. It's definitely a tricky topic. And I get to educate on what's going on in local politics too, what's happening to your tax dollars, what's happening with your child's education through the school board, all those different things, all while doing it from a, base of religion. And, I have a strong relationship with God and a belief in Christ. And so I do it through that, hopefully reaching people with the message of God as well. And just talking about different, I didn't have a typical life. I took a lot of different pathways than people typically do my age. And so kind of speaking on those and showing people, you have a lot of different opportunities. It's not just go to school, go to college, work a job, retire. There's a lot more to life than that. So that's just kind of the summed up version of it.
Yeah, and I know that you're someone who's very active in the community and have a very good grasp of local politics. I listened to some of your previous interviews that you had with various representatives from around North Carolina and the area, and I thought that was great because also it's not a typical mainstream media news interview in that you're looking for a gotcha. You're really trying to get to someone's soul of public service about the ideas and the philosophies that they have. So I have one question. I don't mean to pigeonhole you, but I'm assuming that you're a Zoomer, you're a Generation Z.
I am. I think my maturity is not, but my age is, yes.
I would agree there. So perhaps you can be a little bit of translator for the audience of Generation Z. What has it been like, sort of as a younger person who's very idyllic, who is very confident, who has taken the time to research ideas and philosophies? What is the sort of reaction to you when you do enter into the local political scene? Is there a lot of hostility? Are there open arms? Are people skeptical? Or are they very willing to hear you out? I think that must be interesting as a sort of young political activist, if you can call yourself that.
Yeah, of course. I think I can take that title here, and I won't deny it. But honestly, in Brunswick County, a lot of people a lot of people know this, but a lot of people don't know this. Brunswick County is a very we're very red, very Republican, very conservative, and a very tight knit community. Most people actually grow up here from birth. And stay here. I jumped in the middle of the mix. I moved here in about 8th grade. I started getting involved in local politics now 3 years ago. So I was 20 years old when I started attending these meetings. And honestly, it was open arms mostly. Everybody was excited to have a young person want to get involved in Brunswick County. And they definitely immediately approached me about helping them to reach more young people in our area. You know, the desire is there to get the young people involved. It may not seem like it on the surface level for a lot of the Republican Party, but I'm telling you, it is welcomed. It is encouraged. You are going to have a few people that are skeptical, as I am Gen Z. So first off, they think, oh, progressive coming in to change things up. But I'm truly a conservative in the sense of I think we need to hold our traditional values so strong and set that as our foundation. But that doesn't mean that we can't develop to be more geared towards what is today, you know, more social media, more involvement in the community at every level with every aspect. And so, you know, of course, I'm approached with a little bit of skepticism here and there, but for the most part, everybody welcomes me, has accepted me, has even given me opportunity for leadership in our party. So I do serve as secretary for the Republican Women, and I'm on the executive committee for the Brunswick GOP, and a ton of different titles too. So it's great.
Wonderful. We're speaking with Lillian Beecroft. She's the host of Awaken to Greatness here on the Big Talker 106.7 FM every Saturday at 11. You can also subscribe to the podcast version of her program on Spotify and Google Podcasts, and I'm sure plenty of other outlets. Lillian, the question that I had as well is, since you're coming into this, you have a lot of fire, a lot of energy. Are there various issues that you think younger conservatives perhaps don't feel as fired up about as older conservatives, or there are some things that you believe younger conservatives embrace that the older conservatives might not, something that might be heterodox or just something that is conventional wisdom now but perhaps didn't used to be? I'm wondering if there's any of these type of cleavages that you've noticed.
Of course. I mean, two things immediately come to mind. The first is young people in the economy. a lot of people my age don't necessarily understand how money works, and they don't understand how government works. So the economy kind of tied in with the Constitution and our government structure. We think we know, but many of us do not actually know. We only know what we were taught in school, and that was not very much. Civics was not the best course I took in my life. But I'd say we're very distant on the economy. We don't really understand the true concept of the government and its purse. We don't understand the balance of powers. And so that actually stems us to be misguided in so many different minuscule issues like local budgets. We don't understand them. You know, it sounds great to say that this group is getting $500,000, but we don't understand or think to look at, well, what's that $500,000 going to, and what could it be going to instead? And so I try to verse as many people my age on the economic side of conservatism, being fiscally conservative. But another one is the nuclear family. We've completely destroyed this concept. I feel a lot of people my age, we think that we need to have our lives together and set before even thinking about starting a family. And this already causes a divide in the way that we're going to raise our households. And I believe that the way that we raise our kids helps to create who they're going to be when they grow up and what they can accept and what they can learn. And so if we don't have that strong foundation of being raised the proper way with a nuclear family, with a caring mother and father in the home, then it's going to cause us to be misguided on so many issues in our future. And so those are the two biggest things I would say I've noticed is a disconnect between the older generation and conservatism and the younger generations.
And maybe I'm outing myself as, you know, the libertarian on the Big Talker, but I'm wondering, you know, what is the kind of relationship to today's conservative movement and broader social conservatism? Is that something that is at its core of the party and something that should be practiced and openly put into law? Is it something that's practiced at home? What should be sort of the impact of law and social conservative ideas?
Yes, of course. So I'm obviously strong conservative, so I don't believe in overregulation by any means. I believe in freedom, and that includes freedom of belief in every aspect of life. And so there are certain issues that I think we could say don't necessarily need to be legislated. They just need to be more widespread through our communities. That's why I take a focus on community. A lot of these issues could be solved outside of politics, which is the amazing thing about the world we're in. However, I will say that there are issues that are social and are going up into the legislature that are causing great divide between the two parties. And so my stance on that is that we shouldn't be legislating to not allow people to believe what they want. You know, I know there's a lot of conservatives that may not agree with certain social issues. However, they would never demean a person, and they truly do love them, because we're called to love everybody. But you can love people without agreeing with the actions that they're doing, and let them live their life. Let them be free and live their life. But just as you're able to live your life, I should be able to live mine with my beliefs.
Very positive end note there. That's Lillian Beecroft. She's the host of Awaken to Greatness here on The Big Talker. You can listen to her program every single Saturday at 11 a.m. Lillian, thank you so much for your time.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
I tell y'all, there's plenty of positivity this morning in the studio. Mornings with Joe Catenacci. I'm Yaël Ossowski, filling in this morning from 7 to 10 a.m. Stay tuned to The Big Talker, 106.7. We got plenty more to come. Great stuff. And we're looking here at the weather gauge. Looks like it's going to be a high of 89 degrees out here in Wilmington. I tell you guys, it's paradise out here. So keep enjoying it. Stay tuned. We'll be right back here on The Big Talker.